Once again, welcome to this webinar, um, How Digital Marketing Analytics is Changing in 2015. All right. And on the agenda today, we have 6 different topics or themes that I will be walking you through. And each of the themes or topics, I'll be talking through a specific case study or a relevant business case, right, that exemplifies the trend that I'm talking about. All right. So this is the jam-packed session that we have. We were looking at cross-channel experiments, the whole digital ecosystem being split into two, the need for a unified view of the customers in the digital world, the importance of first-party data, what is programmatic advertising, and a look at the ever-exploding mobile landscape. Right. All right, just a brief about myself. So, as I said, my name is Sachin. I have 11 plus years in marketing, analytics, and operations. A diverse experience across different domains of banking, was with HSBC, part of the digital marketing credit card acquisitions team, then worked with HP for about 4.5 years, helping optimize their consumer business, and off late was heading the marketing operations and analytics team for NetApp worldwide. Right. So I'm essentially an engineer. Did my engineering from Bachelor in 2003, and an MBA from Indian School of Business, specializing in marketing and strategy. I am essentially a speculative fiction junkie. I read pretty much anything from fantasy to horror to science fiction. I love alternative rock, and I'm really passionate about digital marketing, which is why we all of us are here today. A couple of links about myself. You guys can go check it out later, such. So that's about me. All right. So we start off. We look at what's the landscape like today for digital marketing in 2015, right? Uh, so it's a ubiquitous digital landscape. We all know that we're living in pretty much empowered times. So in the first half of 2015, if you guys read the newspaper, today's newspaper, Economic Times, talked about India alone having added 52 million users to the internet era. Right? I think today we stand at a total of about 354 million users who are online and accessing the internet through mobile or other devices. And as it stands today, 40% of the world population, close to 3 billion, are online and using the internet. Right? So essentially, I'm just saying that digital has invaded and disrupted business, both big and small, in a huge manner. Right? And the three factors that have led to this whole disruption. The first is the information abundance, the fact that we can get any kind of answers to any kind of queries at just the click of a button. Ubiquitous connectivity. We are connected to the world 24/7, right? This small 5-inch screen that connects us to the rest of the world. That's the first thing in the morning that you look at, and the last thing in the night that you look at. We check mails even before we snooze the alarm, right? Before we get up. We check our WhatsApp and Twitter feed while we sing lullaby to our kids, right? So if we connect pretty much all throughout. And the third factor that is driving this whole change is the power of cloud computing, right? Which is being harnessed by brands and marketing companies world around to actually um, help market better and faster. So the pictogram that you see here at the bottom of your screen essentially is the story of the paradox of choice. Like earlier, whenever we had a question, we probably go to our trusted friends and families to get the answer. For example, let's say I'm looking out for places for boarding my dogs, right? Kennels for my dogs. I'm a dog lover. I would initially, in the olden times, I would have essentially looked up to my friends circle to give me suggestions. But today, it happens at the click of a button, right? It's direct to the internet. Who knows? Probably somebody's actually built a app or a marketplace for dog sitters, with probably location-based mapping of Whitefield kennels and dog sitters throughout. And then you spoiled for choice. The third picture here essentially is you standing in the middle, spoiled for choice. And this is the story of the paradox of choice. By the way, Paradox of Choice is a fantastic book. If you guys get to get your hands on the book, make sure you get that. It's written from a retail point of view, but nevertheless raises some very interesting, pertinent questions about today's age, about having too many choices, pretty much anything. So moving on, right? I want to present the case of a digitally empowered customer today, right? So this is a hypothetical example, but I'm pretty sure this is um, a reality for a lot of us, right? So the use case, for example, here is a newly married couple, Jack and Jill. Let's say they're moving into their new house and they need a 42-inch LED television, right? So what do? They jump onto the internet, they visit a lot of retailers' websites, they identify some models. I'm just going to take a look at the questions. All right. Oh yeah. So I think the question was about which book. The book's name is called Paradox of Choice. Right. You can hunt it up. The name of the author escapes me, but it was a great book that I was doing at MBA. So you guys should probably go check it out. Coming back to the example, I want to make sure that you guys are okay and can hear me. I'm just going to unmute all of you for a minute. Okay, going back to the example. So Jack and Jill, newly married, looking to buy television, go online. They visit several retailers' websites. They probably identify some models that they really like, right? And what do? They essentially add these models to the wish list that they have, right? Like for example, on Flipkart, you can pretty much add the specific product models to the wish list. Next, let's say these guys are not too technically savvy, so they really want to do the touch and feel like most of us. So they decide to find out the nearest physical outlet. So they use Google Maps. They identify the nearest place. They go there. What happens next is the transmitter mounted on the entrance of these retail outlet actually pushes a welcome notification to the mobiles that is registered with them, right? And they also give them personalized offers based on the previous transactions that these guys have had with this particular outlet. They also send them the quick links to the models that they've really shortlisted, and they get a notification that there is a 15% discount on one of the models that they really liked, right? So they're pretty happy. And so essentially they use the store map to identify where the product is located, and they have a chat with the store expert to make sure their queries are answered. They still are happy. So what do they do next? They read up the product reviews about the models. They get some advice through WhatsApp from their parents. They go to Facebook. They post this about the Facebook. They get some advice from friends. They also use some kind of smart apps that helps them do price comparisons, right, before they actually settle down on the final model they buy. And today, mobile wallets are pretty big, right? So let's say we go a step further and they use something called a smartwatch to authenticate the whole payment. And hey presto, they buy the whole product, right? So, and they get a confirmation of the delivery truck through messages, and the whole cycle repeats again. In 3 weeks' time, the whole cycle repeats where they get a new notification about a washing machine and other appliances for such new homeowners. So what I'm trying to say here is this is not really a hypothetical use case, right? It's not too far away in the future. And it basically illustrates how the power is now transferred to the hands of a customer. The customer today is not just a king, he's probably like an emperor, right? And all the brands are queuing up one after the other to ensure that they're available at the right time, right place, with the right product. The magic of digital, what can I say? All right, so we kick things off next session here, where we start looking at the different trends of how digital marketing analytics is playing out in 2015. And the first trend is cross-channel experiments, right? So today, cross-channel experiments that started sometime back in 2014 are really on the fire. So if you look at your top right screen, right, essentially this talks about how people are spending time simultaneously across different devices in different activities. 60% on emails, 44 on browsing, 42 social networking, right? Surprisingly, only 15% spend time on work documents, which is probably productive. The point I'm trying to drive here is people are doing a number of different things across different devices at the same time and across different channels, right? And from a marketer or a brand point of view, what this leads to are three different problems. It leads to organizational silos because we're not able to connect across these different channels. There's a lack of data integration, and we are still offering fragmented point solutions across these different channels. So there is an underlying need to integrate across these channels, right? So what's the major channels of delivery today? There's mobile, there's web, there's the whole CRM applications, and there's a point of sale. And how do you do that? You need to ensure there's a big data feed that enables cross-channel modeling, which basically means there is an army of data scientists sitting somewhere crunching the numbers, ensuring they can do some kind of attribution modeling across different data points of a customer journey across different channels, which would lead us to a very actionable view of the whole cross-channel journey of these customers. So a couple of things from a brand or a marketer point of view that you need to be really doing to make sure this happens is, first up, identify your cross-channel use cases, and the next would be to review the current investments that you've done on the marketing technology in-house, so that you can pretty much map the entire customer journey from first touch till conversion. Right? Okay. All right, moving on. So the business study or case study that I promised, right, for cross-channel experiments. This is a company called Fasos. I don't know if you guys have heard of Fasos, but earlier Fasos used to be, um, you know, just like a Domino's or a Pizza Hut, a mere chain of restaurant. But Jaideep Burman, who's the founder of Fasos, right? He's helped evolve Fasos from being just a mere chain of restaurants to a technology-led model, which is focused on providing fresh food. So they've come a long way. So today they describe themselves as being a hyper local food on demand company, disrupting how people order food on the mobile. Notice the stress on the mobile, right? So what these guys have done is, in terms of experimentation, they've gone a full circle. They've started from wraps, they've gone to full meals. They've started from retail only as a channel, to being mobile app only today, right? So if you remember, a long time back when Fastest came up, it was these beautiful yellow colored retail outlets that we used to see here in Bangalore. But today, they don't even have a website, right? And that's the fun part of it, because they've done these experiments across different channels. They've started off, as I said, as a retail outlet. They had dial-in and call center, delivery of food, dining in. They had a fantastic website. Trust me, it was a beautiful website, and I'm personally pretty unhappy that they've taken off the website. Right? They took orders in Facebook, and they were the first company, um, arguably in the world, that took food orders on Twitter. But today, they're probably only on the mobile app, right? So Jaideep, there was an article recently where Jaideep went on to talk about the decision as to why they went app only. Because he claims 97% of Faso's sales comes in from mobiles. Uh, it's not too hard to actually delve into the reasons, because in a country like India, where the smartphone users number is only rising, right? We're at 150 million and counting. There is a need for personalization around both taste and meal requirements. So Faso has latched onto that pretty well. So they're using the mobile only app usage data to essentially customize the food delivery system, right? Based on location, based on time of day. They claim it's a whole convenience and a very hassle-free experience. And they also claim that they've had a pretty high retention rate in terms of the people coming back to the app to use and order for food. Right? All right, so that was cross-channel experiments. The second trend that is catching up today is the fact that the whole digital ecosystem itself is split into two. And by ecosystem, I essentially mean the state of marketing technology, right? So the marketing technology has been split traditionally between large vendors and on one side of the spectrum, and really small specialty solution providers at the other end of the spectrum. But today, the situation is flipped around. So the top end of the market itself is split into two. There are still large technology vendors providing solutions for marketing technology, but there are new players in the market, like a Google or Facebook or an Apple, that have disrupted the status quo, right? And this is essentially driven by three factors. One is the fact that obviously the market is growing at a tremendous rate, right? So Forrester claims that the growth is about 12%, and the whole marketing spend is going to hit 100 billions over the next 5 years. So that's a tremendous opportunity. And as I said from the previous trend in terms of the cross-channel experiment, there is a need for innovation to connect between different channels and different devices, right? So there is an evolution happening. And the third is the most interesting factor is the emergence of the non-traditional players, right? Um, and this is going to be clear with this specific example around the Internet of Things, right? Where I want to talk about how this whole shift has happened in the digital marketing ecosystem. So I don't know if you guys remember, there's a movie called Minority Report by Steven Spielberg, right? There's this really cool scene where Tom Cruise is shifting things around on the screen, disrupting reality on a digital screen, right? That day is not far away. And today we already have, because of Internet of Things, we already have stuff like smart fridge, right? That would tell you when to eat your food, what to eat, what is your calorie intake, and what's the right temperature, and what have you, right? But the specific example that I'm focusing on here is on the car market, right? Technology disruptions are driving this market crazy, and you wouldn't believe how. So I don't know if you're aware, but in the state of California, there are a number of self-driven or driverless cars, right, running around with minimal accidents or impacts. So we're talking about intelligent cars here. So today, only 10% of the cars that are manufactured actually have like a built-in connectivity, right? This number is projected to grow to about 90% by 2020. So if you look at the right top screen here, which is more of a positioning map, uh, like a survey taken on customers asked about their brand recall for self-driving cars, right? What is the brand recall for the self-driving cars? So it's no surprise that Google actually came up on top in terms of being the most popular brand associated with the term driverless cars. Right? People actually have termed it Google cars itself, as opposed to, while in spite of the fact that a lot of these traditional premium and mass market brands are manufacturing these self-driving cars as well. So the point here is the intelligent cars makes your drive a lot more personal, right? Examples would be mood-based music changes, syncing of calendars to ensure that the traffic is monitored and you can pretty much leave at the best time possible to make your next appointment. A couple of examples that really stand out from both Apple and Google. So Apple has created this whole app platform called CarPlay that helps you interface iPhone to the car's infotainment center, right? Essentially helping you control music, messages, calls, etc. Google's not far behind, very similar capabilities, but they fit that onto their self-drive cars, which, by the way, has driven about 700,000 miles without an incident. Right? So more productivity, safety, convenience, and more power to you. The day is not far when you probably would use windshields to project content from your mobile devices and have your meetings while driving to office. Now that would be sweet, right? In Bangalore. All right. Moving on. So the next trend catching up is it's called the unified customer view and the need for the same. Right. This is pretty self-explanatory, and it connects to the first trend that I talked about around the cross-channel experiments, right? And the use case that I would walk you guys through is, let's say, you're an angry, irate customer in need for booking a taxi because you need to fly out early tomorrow morning, right? So there are a number of options for you today, right? Let's say we decide to go with Ola. We go to the website ola.com to book a taxi online, or you could use the app. And I think apps give you a lot of coupons and a lot of other goodies to make sure that you stick with the app, right? You have the pick me up option now, which lets you connect to the closest driver based on your location. You could probably go to the website itself, go chat with an operator. You could call them up and schedule something for tomorrow morning, or you could probably go to Facebook or Twitter. So there are none of options for you. Now, the point here is from Ola's point of view. We need to ensure that we treat all of this as just one single customer, right? These are not 4 or 5 customers. This is just one guy looking to book a taxi. So you need to have a single data infrastructure to map across these 4 different identities and understand and serve the customer where he wants it, when he wants it, right? So the advantages are pretty straightforward, right? Helps you improve personalization, helps you target somebody better, helps you get a better bang for the buck, and helps you streamline the different measurement programs from an analytics point of view. Okay, all right, this is one of my favorite case studies. Chai Point, and I'm sure you guys have heard of Chai Point as well. I'm personally like a huge fan of Chai Point. Right? I love their banana cakes and the masala chai. Okay, so Amulik Singh was a Harvard MBA who decided to quit his cushy job in Singapore and come back to India, where tea or chai, as it is called in Hindi, is a mass consumption product. Right? Coffee chains are passe, right? They are all over the town right now, but because Americans love their coffee. But the average Indian loves his or her chai, right? It's a mass consumption product. And the amount of chai that is consumed in a country like India is 10 times bigger than that of coffee. So that's a huge growth opportunity and a greenfield area to grow the market in. So Amuli comes in and starts off his chain of, uh, chai delivering outlets. Well, they initially started off with just brick and mortar stores and really small, nice kiosks and outlets. I think they've smartly spread into different other innovative channels now. Right? So, for example, as you can see on the screen here, I've just put a screen grab of their website. The call to action is very clear and straightforward, appealing to your love for chai. Right? Order your chai now. And another thing which I really like is the fact that they've built a nice positioning around the daily chai concept, right? Like equating a daily chai to a daily newspaper. Um, so that's like a home run for most Indians because we love our morning newspaper with chai, right? So in the whole e-commerce experience is pretty appealing of placing your orders online. I would urge you guys to go and check that out if you love your tea as well. So they've integrated across pretty much all the available channels, be it the Facebook or dial-ins or pretty much all the web channels as well. But the underlying point here is that Chai Point is ensured there is a single unified view of a chai lover across these different channels. Right? Okay. All right. Getting to some data, right? From the analytics point of view, we just can't get enough of our data. All right. So the importance of first-party data. So what is first-party data? Essentially, the data that you own about your own customers. And if you look at the chart that I've put here on the right top, that's grabbed from one of the eMarketer's news feeds, right? Where it's a survey result of the top CMOs in North America about their opinions of how first-party data, second-party data, and third-party data stacks up with respect to usage around different marketing functions. So as you can see here, the red line, that's the first-party data that pretty much dominates across the various marketing functions, whether it be customer insights or ROI or customer lifetime value or the lift with respect to data sources. So traditionally, a lot of direct marketing used to happen by the use of third-party data. We used to buy third-party data and then use that to run a lot of direct mail campaigns or other campaigns per se, right? There is a lot of problems. The third-party data is not entirely fresh, so we can't use that for contextual targeting. Obviously, it doesn't come cheap, and the advantage to our first-party data is that it doesn't rely on movement across sites. So essentially, all your data privacy issues are tackled, and we are insured against different regulatory frameworks that come in with laws that keep changing at the top of hat. So what do you need to do to ensure that you prioritize first-party data collection? first things first, identify and document all different sources of your first party data. And in the next slide, I'm just going to talk about what that sources are. And the next is you need to be able to build a transition plan of how you would use the data to improve and enhance your customer experience. Right? A little more context about why first party data is really important in 2015 and beyond. So because personalization, customer loyalty, and advocacy is going to be top priorities for a lot of CMOs, first party data is all the more important. And this specific quote from Marco Mueller actually pretty much nails it. Right? I'll just leave this on your screen to let you guys read this. Uh, what I've also done is I've listed on the bottom, I've pretty much listed all your sources of first party data, right? It could be website registration, it could be your past transactional data, it could be registration, loyalty information, the whole digital signature or the app usage or data that comes in from your CRM programs, and of course, the large social media chatter that is out there. Okay, I have a couple of interesting questions coming up as well. I'm going to save that for the last 20 minutes. And going back. All right. Okay. This is another very interesting case study that I want to talk about the usage of first-party data. Right. So you've all heard of Myntra. You've probably shopped around a Myntra a lot, right? So Myntra is an online fashion retailer. They shocked a lot of us by deciding to go app only. They did away with the website, right? And actually, very recently, the CEO of Snapdeal, Mr. Kunal Bal, he called this a foolish strategy, and he claimed that Snapdeal is never going to go that way, right? So the war of words is still continuing on the social forums. The jury's still out on that, but the reality is that the engagements on the mobile probably outperforms the desktop. Right? That's a known secret. Right? It's a personal device, your mobile. It's more affordable, and you pretty much carry it around 24/7. Um, and Mukesh Bansal, the outgoing CEO of Myntra.com, he beautifully summarized the whole reason as to why they did that. Right? He calls fashion a very personal experience. Um, and we believe that mobile can truly deliver this experience as it captures a user's lifestyle and context in a manner that no other medium does. And he goes on to say about all the different features that actually one can leverage, like the camera, contact, locations, etc., to understand the user's context and deliver the experience that is deeply personalized. Trust me, the amount of data that an app gives you, which is personalized, is terrifying, right? I don't know if you guys actually notice when you're installing an app, the app permissions in the beginning, it goes through a lot of things, right? It goes through even your photographs and all that. So the amount of personalization that can be driven through usage of such data is tremendous and terrifying if you think about it. Now, on the flip side, right? Have you ever felt that you're getting too many push notifications? I have both Myntra and Amazon.in app on my mobile, and I get just too many notifications, right? So on an average, I think each app sends about 2 to 4 notifications a day. So is that necessarily a good thing? I really don't know, but that's tremendous power in the hands of a marketing person. All right, programmatic advertising, right? So just a brief about what is programmatic advertising before I delve into how that's becoming hot. So essentially, we're using technology to buy and sell media space, thereby forming a booking mechanism for different websites that publish the content, right? Where these advertisers can actually sell their whole ads to, right? That's the very simplistic and crisp definition of programmatic advertising. Now, RTB is probably something that you guys have heard about. This is a very critical and key aspect of programmatic advertising, right? RTB, I'm going to talk you through an example of how what RTB is, but before I do that, I want to give you a sense of how complex this whole equation is. So we're talking about 100 billion impressions served on different websites, right? And we're also talking about different types of variables that a media buyer has to choose through before it decides what kind of ad should he put on what kind of website, right? Which publisher website, how many pages per site is that, what's the dimension, what's the device type on which somebody's going to consume this, what is the time of the day that's most optimized, day of the week, blah blah blah. Now RTB automates all of this, right? The whole media buying process is no longer subject to somebody's whims and fancies or moods, right? We're trying to automate the whole process of buying media space on the websites, so we can deliver ads in the most efficient and cost efficient and manner. Right? So we're talking about cost efficiency, and we're talking about operational efficiency, right? So we've gone from buying 10 to 20 ads to a million plus opportunities a second, and this is all possible through machine learning algorithms, right? All right, so as I promised, just a case study that talks about how or why RTB is useful. So let's assume we're looking at Yahoo as the Yahoo homepage, right? A million plus impressions on the Yahoo homepage every day, probably every hour, right? So let's assume there are a couple of people. One's Jack, our favorite guy, who is now a 53-year-old male who is a CFO at an MNC and is looking to take his next break on a luxury holiday option. On the other hand, we have Jill, who's a young female, 24 years old, who's probably a content writer, who's pretty interested in fitness, right, in cross-training equipments, right. Unfortunately, before the times of RTB, on the Yahoo homepage, pretty much the exact same ad would be seen by both Jack and Jill, right? Probably they see a Southwest.com ad, which is probably useful to Jack, but not useful to Jill. So here comes RTB, wherein Yahoo essentially auctions these million impressions to different marketers so that they can show their ads to different audience segments based on data about these prospects. Right? So the end result being Jack, when he logs into his Yahoo homepage, actually, probably based on his previous transactions or cookie-based information that Yahoo or a Google is actually selling to an advertiser, a JW Marriott or an Air France is able to show their ads. On the other hand, when Jill logs into her Yahoo news page, she sees a different ad, probably a Fitbit or a Nike, right? So that's the power of RTB, right? To ensure that you can pretty much do a one-to-one advertisement mapping. So yeah, that was about real-time bidding. All right, now for the last topic of the day. Yeah, so before we get into mobile wallets, just one more word about programmatic advertising. So is this the future of advertising? Probably yes. Well, I didn't have data points around what percentage of ads are actually being bought through RTB as a process. That number is definitely on the rise, right? And advertisers are actually slowly experimenting beyond just the online media, right? Imagine TV advertising being done like this. Now that's going to be fantastic, right? Okay, all right. The last topic for the day is the mobile wallets and payments. Uh, so this is not a secret. Uh, so mobiles have widened the scope of shopping. The whole shopping experience has been turned upside down using the mobile, right? So research shows that 66%, that is 2 out of every 3 adults, use mobile devices while shopping in store. Essentially, they use it for shopping support, looking for offers and coupons, use price comparisons, and also leverage the location-based marketing potential that the mobile gives you. Right now, as I said before, the concept of a mobile wallet is not new, but it's really growing. It's a catching up. It's catching up pretty big, especially in the tier one and tier two cities, right? So can this be an all-pervasive payment solution? Can we see a life where we can leave that leather wallet behind home? The answer is probably yes, but it's still a huge learning curve. Uh, you all know what's a mobile wallet. So essentially, it's a digital equivalent of physical wallet. a platform that allows consumers to use mobile to do financial transactions, right? Uh, the only thing, the only difference from a traditional credit card or a debit card or bank account is that the mobile payment solution really doesn't charge you a transaction fee, right? And we're promising the convenience and speed of transaction using mobile. Right? A great example, yeah, I'm going to talk about a good example of how mobile wallet is being used today. But before we get to that, some data points about how this is getting adopted in a country like India. So Ajit Narayan, who was a social media head for Ubiquitous, which is one of the fastest growing, payment solutions providers, they say that the user base of MobiKwik has grown by close to 300%, and all this started like only a couple of years back, right? Mind you. So, and he says he wants to convert pretty much the entire 900 million phone users in India to start making payments using a mobile, right? And he also admits that there is a need for education and building the awareness about this whole concept. Uh, so some numbers, so 213 million mobile internet users in India, out of which Paytm claims to have captured 50 million in the first 15 months of operations, right? And Ajit also talks about a couple of factors as to why we've seen an upward trend in adoption of mobiles. So there is a need and space for solutions to bank, right? So if you read the news um, in the near past, um, India is the first and only country to have the concept of a payment bank, right? We've got about 11 different payment banks coming up soon. For those of you who don't know what's a payment bank, I'm happy to talk about that in the question and answer session. But yeah, so the second factor is the fact that uh, we are, as a country, are still a cash majority country, and there is a big potential to convert this to digital money through mobile. All right, the case study for mobile wallet is a small app company called Momo. Momo essentially is working behind the scenes to ensure that you can do cashless payments in restaurants, right? So they claim to help you see the live tabs, help you split the bills, and also pay on the phone without even waiting for the final bill to come to your table. So from a efficiency advantages point of view, Momo claims that from a waiter point of view, he essentially has to focus only on the customer service and also cross-selling and taking the order, right? The whole bill payment is taken care of seamlessly using the mobile, using Momo. Momo also claims that they're tying up with different merchants to ensure they can also expand the services to, food and grocery. There are tons and tons of apps today about, online grocery. So every day on the radio, there's a new app that pops up, right? Pepper Tap, or there's too many to name here. So Momo also claims that there's a 10% retention rate in terms of customers coming back and using the app on all the registered merchants. So what's in it for a merchant? Momo doesn't charge them any sign-up fee or monthly fee, and very rightfully, this essentially is a great rich source of customer information that can be used for running target campaigns for customer cohorts from a hotel, food, or a merchant point of view. So yeah, so that was it from my side. We spoke about all the different trends that is keeping up in 2015 around digital marketing analytics. And yeah, so that's it from my side. So I'm happy to take questions. And before I do that, I'm going to go back and look at all the questions that is possible. How are we doing on the time? Hey Sumit, can you hear me? All right, so you had a question about the big data feeds, right? And this was around cross-channel marketing, if I'm right. I'm just going to go back to my cross-channel slide. All right, here you go. So I want to make sure I understand the question right, Sumit. So explain more on the big data feeds, right? Any specific thing that you want to learn, or I can give you examples as to how we are enabling that, but anything specific? Okay, all right. Sumit, I want to make sure that I've heard your question right and I'm understanding this right. So by big data feed, I'm essentially referring to the fact that today, because of the different channels by which customers are interacting with the brand, right? The data is not the volume of data coming in. Obviously, you know the definitions of big data, right? The three V's of big data, which is volume, velocity, and variety. Right? So the volume of data that flows in from, say, a web or a social media where somebody interacts with our brand, right? That's going to be huge, and that's going to be unstructured. So we need to ensure that there is some sort of a big data engine running underneath, which can churn or crunch through these unstructured data and the voluminous data, and at a very high pace, right? For example, your the amount of data that is getting generated on social media is pretty huge, and it gets generated very fast as well. So you need to be able to have your big data guns ready to crunch through this and come up with insights around your customers to ensure we talk to them in the right manner across different channels. So that was the intent around putting the big data feeds there. There's one question. We can go back to the next questions. Hey, Likesh, can you hear me? Was there a question on Google Cars or Myntra? I see your comments on that, but is there any specific question that you had? Okay, I'm gonna let that pass. Okay, I think that is all right. I have a very nice question from Vinayak, um, Vinayak Krishnan, right? I'm gonna find you, Vinayak, and I'm gonna unmute you. All right. Hey, Vinayak, I got your question. That's a very nice question. So, do you want to voice the question out to the rest of the folks on the webinar?
Um,
So around why do you think organizations are going app only, right? What are the advantages in terms of refraining from normal website to using just the apps? I think I had Lee Case also had a similar question around app only marketing. So I'll give you my take, right? And the jury is still not out on this in terms of should we go only app only or should we retain the website experience as well. So, and I'm going to put in some personal spin to this. So, obviously, when a company, so Myntra saw that more than 90% of its sale is actually being generated from mobile as a channel. But personally, right, while the sale, the final active act of a sale is happening on the mobile, possibly because the offers are more personalized and you have a lever to give them a lot more discount coupons as well on the app side as opposed to the website. The discovery process could be happening through different channels, right? It could be your desktop and laptops in terms of somebody researching and understanding about the product before he finalizes and then decides, okay, because the Myntra app is offering me a 40% straight discount on this day. So today I'll probably make my uh, purchase on the app. That and so it could be misreading of the signal. So the problem here is we are actually over-indexing the the efficiency of using an app. Not entirely true. So I wouldn't personally agree with the fact that we should do the app only. But an app only is a tremendous marketing of powerful tool because after the app developers discovered that they can do a push notification, right? An app resides in your home screen. So imagine your Myntra app that's on your home screen, and every in a day you get about 3 or 4 different notifications inevitably, right? When you're free, inevitably you would go and okay, click on that notification. You're taken to to the app screen where you're bombarded with about 30, 40, 50%, 70% discounts. So while yes, it's a fantastic tool to probably hook your customers in, going app only, personally, I wouldn't agree to that. But yeah, the jury's still out in terms of whether that's the best way to do that or not. So as I said, right, so Snapdeal ran a survey among its customers, and 20% of the customers still said that okay, we need the desktop uh, experience. We don't want an Apple experience. So to make sure those 20% remain happy, Kunal.
so I was wondering,
Yeah. All right. So Vinayak, your question was around: is it necessary for uh, a digital marketing professional to learn how to decipher big data? The answer is yes. Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure that I heard the question right. I'm going to unmute you and see if you have one more question on that, right? The answer from me is, see, Hadoop is one technology or a language that would help you get there, right? So the area of digital marketing or big data specifically is changing day by day. So Hadoop definitely is one of the very critical um, weapons or tools in your arsenal that can equip you to decipher big data. And yes, it's not necessary per se, but it's really useful to learn Hadoop to decipher the big data marketing tools. But there are different other tools that, because this field is changing every other month, right? There are new tools popping up every other day. So one good thing that I would advise all of you would be to keep yourself abreast of the changes, right? Go join different groups on LinkedIn. Maybe I can post it somewhere on the LMS after the course, after this webinar is over, about different LinkedIn groups that will help you um, keep track of what's happening out there in terms of the changes in both big data and digital marketing. What are the new tools that are popping up, and keep your eyes open on a Coursera or Allison or Udemy, right? These are the um, open university that could enable you to keep yourself updated with respect to technologies on the side. All right. Any other questions here? Okay. Uh, how do you see the conversion rates for programmatic ads? One question I had, another question from Vinayak again, was what is the conversion rate for programmatic ads? So I don't have the figures handy to tell you what's the conversion rate, but I'm going to research that and put that up as such. Right? Obviously, programmatic ads will be much better because we're using machine learning algorithm that will mine through a customer's past information, right? Obviously, to give you an example, um, you've heard of the concept called retargeting, right? Retargeting is nothing but let's say you noticed a specific ad, display ad, and you interact or engage with that ad for say like a Fitbit monitor, right? And then you go to another website, the same ad pops up on your screen on the left side. The reason is pretty much all these websites are on the same platform, and say a Google as such, and the Google is using the interaction data at a cookie level and sharing that information with the specific advertiser, because he's bid for that, and thereby he's able to use that customer level information to understand that yes, this is a guy from this specific cookie location who's interested in this product. So let's show him because he's not completed his conversion activity. So let's show him the display ad again and hope that he converts. So that's a retargeting concept. So obviously retargeting and programmatic ads have much higher conversion rates. What's the number? I'm gonna have to research that and get back to you. I think I have one more question coming on. Okay, I have um, okay, Harendra Ramaneni, a question around how many companies are making, e-commerce companies are making profits as they're giving lots of discounts, much lesser than in local shops. So, Harendra, the truth of the matter is none of the e-commerce companies are actually making profits. They're all in the red, and I'm not at liberty to disclose how much. Um, but yeah, so none of them are making money. It's just that they're all drinking up the investors' uh, money at this point of time to scale up operations, right? And how do they scale up? Ensure that they do acquisition of more and more customers. And how do they do that in India? Give them more discounts. So at this point, none of them are making profits. They just all of them are interested in scaling up right now, right? They're not interested in cost efficiency and optimization right away. Okay, Vinayak has one more question. If the cookie tracking is banned, okay, so Vinayak's question is since most digital ads are mostly based on cookies, if cookie tracking is banned, how else do you think we'll be able to track behavior of unique visitors? That's a great question. Um, and I don't have a straightforward answer to that, right? Uh, I will counter that with a news report that I just read yesterday morning. So there was a news report in Economic Times which talked about uh, the big daddies of internet are actually being, hassled by Google's behavior. Right? Google is actually hijacking the internet using pretty much because I think in terms of the usage, Google Chrome as a browser pretty much outweighs everything else. So, and Google owns the Google Chrome browser and pretty much as a result owns all the customer level information that is stored at a cookie inside those browsers. So they can use this information to sell or project their products in front, right? But to your question, Vinayak, if that is banned, then how will be able to track behavior? That's a no-no. As of now, we can't really track a unique customer if the cookie is banned, right? And in a lot of European countries, the cookie level laws are pretty stringent, and they are pretty strict about sharing uh, cookies, right? Utilizing cookies to track information. Okay, all right. Okay, cool. Thank you. He's satisfied. So we're almost at the end of our hour. It's 28 minutes past 9. I'm gonna hang around for a couple of more minutes um, to let you guys ask me any more questions. Hope this is useful. So as a marketing plug, I have to say that a lot more interesting things would be covered in a full-fledged course that I'm taking with Edureka. Um, that's going live on October 10th, wherein I'm talking about the course is called the Practitioner's Handbook to Digital Analytics, which will be a lot more hands-on. We'll be learning Google Analytics as a tool. We'll be looking at various aspects of using analytics frameworks and case studies across different digital channels, be it SEM, SEO, social media, display. We'll be talking about RTB and programmatic in a lot more detail, website analytics in a lot more detail, use of Google Analytics, right? Because in the end of the course, Edureka would be certifying you guys to be, a digital practitioner fit to take on the world, right? So hopefully this session was useful, um, and we're all becoming future proof and future ready, right? With this changing world. All right, one last question. It's almost at the end of the time. Lekesh has one question. Being a 4 years digital marketing professional, is it a good idea to do MSc in data analytics? My short answer to that would be yes, definitely. But see, you would need to weigh the pros and cons of how much time you're investing in actually pursuing an MSc as opposed to taking up a shorter hands-on uh, course on data analytics to learn the tools which will make you a little more uh, job ready as opposed to getting an MSc as such, right? So leakage you probably want to need to balance the cost and the opportunity invested here as such. All right, almost the other time. I actually passed 1 minute, and this was very it was a pretty personally it was a nice experience for me, and I'm hoping you guys like this as well. So if you're interested, do register for more webinars and any other courses that you think are useful to improve your career opportunities and prospects, right, with Edureka. Thank you so much for your time, and all of you have a good night. If somebody's logged in from across the Pacific, have a good day, you guys, right? All right, thank you from my side. Bye bye.